People who suddenly came into a lot of money, won it, inherited it, or earned it fast, what was the biggest change in your life? You start realizing which problems can be solved with money and which ones can't. I once heard Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, say, "There's nothing more useless to a 90-year-old man than $2 billion. I stopped holding back at work. Just having the option to say, go jump in a cactus, gives you an incredible sense of freedom." Once people find out you have a lot of money, they start crawling out of the woodwork. After I closed a massive deal at my company, which my mom apparently told the entire population of planet Earth about, I suddenly started hearing from relatives and friends I hadn't spoken to in years. The same thing happened when my mom passed away. In both cases, I wanted to believe people came from a place of kindness, but the timing was just a little too suspicious. Meanwhile, my real friends, the ones who actually knew everything that happened, didn't treat me any differently at all. The company I had equity in got sold, and I walked away with way more than a 7-figure sum. On my business mentor's advice, I didn't touch the money for a full year. Probably the best advice I've ever received. It stopped me from catching the lifestyle inflation virus right away. Now I don't have to put up with workplace nonsense and can spend as much time with my kids as I want. Some friends of mine got a huge legal settlement. One big check, tax-free. Their financial advisor's first words were, "Don't touch it for at least a year. No big life changes, no giant purchases, let it marinate." They followed that to the letter. Sure, they upgraded their house, bought one car, then another, took a couple of trips and renovated, but all of that was spread over several years, so nobody noticed. The advisor invested the rest wisely, and even after all those expenses, they actually had more money than they started with. Takes discipline though, and that's something most people don't have when unexpected wealth drops in their lap. This one isn't about me, it's about my sister. Back in 2017, she didn't have a stable place to live. She was couch surfing with friends and relatives, working a minimum wage job, barely staying afloat. Then something happened. My nephew, the son of my other sister, was taken by Child Protective Services. My sister and I decided to take him in. I let them stay at my place, but he was so little that they had to sleep in the living room. She worked, saved up, rented a tiny apartment for them, scraped together enough to furnish it, paid the bills, and she made it work. That her other sister went full bad life choices mode and had a fuzzy bear overdose right in front of her daughter. Thankfully, someone nearby had a magic revival kit and knew how to use it. That little girl also ended up in the system, and my sister took her in too. The foster care stipend and some benefits helped a bit, but it was still a huge struggle. Then, in 2019, her biological father, who she hadn't spoken to in years, decided to exit the stage of life on his own terms. Turns out, she was the sole surviving heir to a trust set up long ago by her biological grandfather. Overnight, she became very well off. Now she has a beautiful home, a new car, and a backyard paradise for my nephew and her 2 adopted kids. That niece eventually went back to her mom after a successful recovery. She doesn't have to work anymore. And honestly, no one has ever deserved it more. We recently inherited a significant amount of money. We knew an inheritance was coming, but we ended up getting about 3 times more than we expected. In our day-to-day life, nothing really changed. I still work the same job, so does my husband. Same house, same cars. The only difference is this huge wave of relief when we think about the future. We put half of it into an account for the kids, college, grad school, all covered. The other half went to a trusted financial advisor to be managed as our retirement fund. The plan? It just sits there until we retire. That's still many years away. We also wrote generous checks to our favorite niece for her future education and to 2 charities that mean a lot to us. Knowing our future is secure is honestly an incredible feeling. We told almost no one about the money, and that's probably the best advice we've ever followed. Only our closest, most trustworthy relatives know. It helps that nothing in our life looks different from the outside. Nobody's asked us for money because nobody knows we have it. That's the advice I'd give to anyone in our position. Keep your mouth zipped. In our family, the eldest realized that none of us really had the financial skills to jump from middle class to that level of wealth. She suggested we all put our shares into government bonds. The return is well above inflation, and we're not even in the US, so we all did exactly that. Basically, we just parked the money for 5 years and kept living like before. The biggest change? I don't have a father anymore. I remember him telling me how he was able to buy a new car with the inheritance from his dad, but couldn't tell him about it or show him. My dad also left us a large sum and some investments, but we were already living comfortably. I'd give every cent and more just to spend more time with him. We recently went on a trip to recover after his long illness, but the most important person wasn't there. Miss you, Dad. I stopped caring whether I'd get fired, because now I've got a comfy financial cushion in stocks. I can push back when someone demands something unreasonable, and I'm more confident asking for a raise, knowing I can walk away at any moment. In 2016, I got into a motorcycle accident with a truck. Ended up with a serious head injury and a broken arm. I was airlifted to the ICU, put on a breathing tube and a feeding tube. It took years of rehab to get my brain working properly again. I sued and got $300,000 from the transport company. That money now pays my mortgage. I have a house because of it, but I wouldn't wish that whole ordeal on anyone. You realize that a lot of things you used to think you wanted, you actually don't, even if you can afford them now. Every purchase comes with more expenses. Every house needs maintenance. Every car needs a mechanic. I inherited about $500,000 from my dad, plus some property. After buying a house and a car, I still had plenty left, but I was in a bad emotional place. His death was sudden, and I took it really hard. I started burning through money. Vacation after vacation, silly purchases, fancy restaurants. In the end, I had almost nothing left, and my life looked pretty much the same as before. The only real difference is that our family now owns a home and has a couple of nice cars. I quit my second job. We paid off all our debts except the mortgage, and we finally felt ready to have a child. Yeah, money doesn't buy happiness, but dang, it can get you pretty close. It freed me from the constant low-level anxiety about bills. Pro tip, don't tell anyone about it unless you want people to make your life extra spicy. For me, it wasn't an inheritance. It was when my husband joined the electricians union. His pay jumped from about $20 an hour to $30 an hour, and now it's almost $40 an hour. That one change completely transformed our lives. We went from barely scraping by to real stability. We started saving, bought a house, a new car, and took actual vacations. For the first time, we flew on a plane and even visited another country. After more than 30 years of living in poverty, the last 10 have been a massive improvement in quality of life. It's not even about being able to buy the good brand of toilet paper or not living in a trailer anymore. It's the huge drop in stress. I don't worry about bills. I have extra money for hobbies, and if something breaks, like when the washing machine recently died, it's no longer a crisis. We might not buy a brand new machine instantly, but we can at least get the part and fix it ourselves. A lot of decisions that used to be purely about money are now about comfort and quality. When my father-in-law passed away, my wife and her 3 siblings each got about $2.2 million in stocks and cash. We already had a successful business, so it didn't really change our lives directly. But now our 3 daughters, and a 4th kid on the way, have a fantastic head start for buying their first home, starting a business, or just taking a life risk they otherwise couldn't afford. They'll get official access to the money when they turn 25. These days, home renovation no longer means how do we do this the cheapest way possible. Now it's, is it worth doing ourselves, or should we just write a check and be done with it? Like, I needed a tree cut down. Without money, I'd be wondering who has a saw I can borrow. With money, the thought process is more like, should I buy a chainsaw? Actually, do I even want to mess with this? I'll just pay someone $500 to handle it. Just yesterday, I got a small inheritance, took $10,000 out and put the rest into an account with compound interest, and made sure it's not easily accessible so I don't blow through it. From that $10K, I built up my emergency fund, bought some new clothes, and treated myself to a few toys, including a shiny new Pew Pew stick. I also paid off $1,500 on my credit card, and will probably make a big payment on my student loan soon. I'm still living on the same budget as before, but now I can fix the AC in my car and replace the bumper, which already feels like a win. That stability and lack of anxiety is an amazing feeling. Also, my net worth is now in the positive by several thousand, but honestly, what I value most is the peace of mind. That's exactly why I don't plan to touch the main chunk of this money. I just don't want to lose that feeling. Now the only debt I have is $50 a month, and that's given me a lot more financial freedom. I can save faster. I also have a new job with good benefits and a monthly $300 bonus for gas and iPhone bill. For the first time in my life, I feel truly financially stable. It's not enough to retire on, but it's more than enough to build a solid plan and completely turn life around for the better. Still, I'd give all it back if I could spend one more day with my grandma and my aunt.